actually pulled me.
Okay, so we have actually a quorum, and we actually have everyone, which is exciting. I are in real life and on Zoom. This is the biggest in real life group we've had in a while. I'm so excited not to be alone down here with Nancy. So do you want to call to order? Are you available to call to order yet?
Yeah.
You're going. Okay, cool. So let's call to order then. It's 6:03. I wonder if anyone has anything to say for our public comment period. Okay, no, everyone has something they want to talk about later in the agenda. Sounds great. Additional items to add to the agenda, anyone? Nope. Okay, great. Moving on. Review and approve minutes from December 8th meeting. Does anyone have anything like to say about that?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Alex seconds it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the motion carries and the minutes are approved. Okay. I hate that part. Okay, correspondence. Anyone with correspondence? I don't think we had any correspondence. I have one, but we're going to talk about it, so that's not interesting. Okay, so then old business. The Conservation Commission has 2 open seats available for Bristol residents. So if you know anyone or have any thoughts about that, that'd be great. It's certainly easier to have a quorum and to get things done if we have a full roster. We can have 9 people total. We have 7 currently. So if anyone has a friend or colleague they want to tap, feel free.
Did you get any response from the front porch?
No, I haven't had
posting?
any responses from Front Porch, which is funny because sometimes I get things out of the blue. I feel almost never someone replies to a Front Porch Forum post. But I know it's possible because one time there were 3 seats available and they sent out 1 Front Porch Forum post and 3 people replied. And I was one of those 3 people.
We
Yeah.
replied to one of your friends.
Oh, that's right. See, there you go. I'll just keep trying.
It's like fishing.
That's right. So I'll just do another one and until we have new ideas, that's what we'll do. Or I try to get people at the library to come.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll do that Front Porch Forum. Any other ideas or comments on that?
I feel like that's the best way to approach people.
Okay, that's where we're at. Okay. So let's talk about the wildlife map stuff. So there's we talked a little bit about Middlebury College as a possible collaborator for updating wildlife maps. In case someone hasn't been here, they were last updated in 2000 or created in 2003. So we're trying to think of a way to update those so we can be ready for the next town plan in 2025 with some information. Professor Alexis Mikhailo from Middlebury College came 2 meetings ago. I said I would reach out to her again, and she has decided to make the focus of her spring 24 senior seminar on this project. And so what she wants to do is get some preliminary work done and then get ready to go so that she can have sort of teams of seniors going out and doing their own mini projects within that course. So, maybe they would be tracking, or maybe they would be doing camera surveys. It's really up in the air as to what the most important things are. And that sort of brings us to the idea that she then went ahead and pulled in Lauren into the project, who's going to start doing some preliminary stuff to think about what is the direction we should be heading in for spring of 2023. And she's getting research credit to do about 8 to 10 hours a week thinking about this project and thinking about, sort of some of those preliminary first steps. So Lauren, is there anything you want to talk about with things you're thinking about for this project?
Hi, everyone. I mean, for a little bit of background, I just met with Professor Dash yesterday, so I'm kind of just getting onboarded and reading through all of the town plans and kind of previous scattered research that exists. I'm just really excited to get started on this. I'll start in the beginning of February, but kind of just getting all of the background going right now. And yeah, we kind of I think my first step is going to be kind of looking into what research does exist, or past studies that we can kind of draw on, and maybe what other towns have been doing in their kind of wildlife monitoring. But yeah, really excited to get started.
And yeah, so that was sort of, we made that wildlife priorities list last month, and we had all these ideas, and then we said, whoa, let's put a first bullet point that says compile other maps or previous studies of the area that are available, possibly with the Addison County Regional Planning Commission. So that's sort of where I think they were thinking of having this project start as a first step. And this would be in no way to exclude the tracking connection. And that would be a totally valid thing to be doing as well. The more the merrier, if we decide to go in that route. But she just wanted to start getting some information together with Lauren and sort of see where that goes. So yeah, what do you think? That was her update. She just told me that. She's like, I decided I'm doing this. I was like, awesome. Thank you for this help.
That's super awesome.
So I don't know. When Lauren's here, she won't actually start a project until spring semester starts. So she's just like sort of getting ready and thinking about some things. I thought we meet so infrequently in terms of the course of her time that she'll be working on. I thought she should just get here right away and sort of get oriented. So she isn't even working on the project yet, but will be soon.
Cool.
So if she has directions or ideas you want to give her, now's
And
the
the
time.
other course would be for the fall?
That was gonna be, no, that'll be spring 24.
Spring 24. Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Academia moves
So a
slowly.
year.
Yeah, yeah,
It'll be next year.
Next year,
Yeah.
this time.
So that just Lauren will help us maybe think of like what already exists, think of some gaps. Maybe she'll starting to write some surveys, maybe. I'm not sure. Or maybe that'll be the next year. I don't know what that timeline looks like. Because it's for Professor Mikhailo's project, but she got so excited about our ideas that she thought,
Awesome.
I'm jumping in, I'm hiring students.
So people,
yeah.
people for her to talk to would be, I'm just looking at last month's meeting notes. Susan Smiley said New Haven is starting to update their wildlife crossing maps.
Yeah, that's great.
Looking at the maps that are in the current Bristol town plan. That's where it is online. And then maybe talking a bit with Jeff Howarth, just because he's involved in Middlebury habitat delineation.
Yeah, that's such a good idea. And I didn't have a chance to do that because of the break and everything.
Right, so maybe Lauren could do that.
That'd be great if you could do that.
Translate it into something we can understand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I think between those three would be a good way to start.
Mm-hmm.
There's what are the, is it the ACR web, the state maps that that are interactive that you can, the Fish and Wildlife maps?
Biofinder?
Yeah,
that
they have like
thing?
a deer yard map set up and stuff already that has Bristol in it and whatnot, so that's some information that would be you know, already done and useful to start with.
What is that site and how would
Oh, I got into it from the Vermont Fish and Wildlife site, but I think it's called ACR Web, or we would double check me on that, but I think that's my memory of the
ARC web? ARC or
yeah, maybe that's it. I know it's linked from the Fish and Wildlife though, so I can find that.
If you found
in
the
a few
link,
seconds on the
and then
phone,
we
yeah.
could send
I
it.
think Kristen just sent it.
Oh, fantastic.
Oh,
Thank you,
thanks,
Kristen.
I don't know where I got ACR web, but
It's all good. Perfect. But yeah, I think Addison County Regional Planning Commission too, they're gonna know about what's happened and what we won't, I think, but or they might know who to ask. Do you think maybe the Watershed Center, or was that Vermont Family Forest, maybe they would know something about what's in the area too? I don't know. Vermont Area Land Trust. Oh, by the way, shoot, we did have mail. I forgot. We got this. Oh, we're on camera. Here we go. Our year in review from the Vermont Area Land Trust. That was in our mailbox. I forgot to tell you. If anyone wants to look at it. Also, Kristen, you have a bunch of Write in the Rain books in the mailbox as well. So, you know, from Katie. She just thought you might like them. So they're sitting there.
Blank ones or?
I think so, yeah. I think she just had some extras she thought she wanted to give you, and they've been sitting there, and I forgot to tell you they've been there for a couple of months. So yeah, Vermont Land Trust, who else? I don't even know, I don't even know.
Well, I think that if we review the quote from Sophie Mazuida, there's some recommended steps. And so maybe Lauren, that might be something for you to look at as well. Give you some ideas to get started with reviewing resources. And we can make that available to you.
Mark
Yeah.
Lappin would know people to talk to.
Oh, yeah, he would. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one. I was thinking too, maybe, do you think that we should hire Sophie to do some of those things so that we can best utilize Lauren's time? Like, it's like, so if she does some of that first step, then Lauren can kind of pick it up those threads and have something to move with, maybe? Would that be a good use of resources? What are our thoughts on that?
Or the other way around. Have Lauren sort of put together what's known and next steps and how to do it, and then talk to Sophie and see if that's something she wants to do. Although that could easily be something that Alexis's course does the following year.
Yeah, I think we can rely on Sophie as a professional in the field to already know a lot of that information and really provide guidance to Lauren, other students that might want to chip away at tasks that take lots of labor and lots of time and resources.
Yeah, it feels like in just a few hours, she could probably put together something really good that then Lauren could use as a resource.
Yeah.
If we had funding for that, which is another question mark, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, one source could be that we could go to the select board and ask, make the recommendation that we'd like to use the conservation reserve funds to provide this kind of seed money. It's a expenditure that will benefit the town and the mapping of natural resources and wildlife across the town. So I think it's a suitable use of the conservation reserve funds. We used a similar model, for example, when we set out to map the geology, the superficial and the bedrock geology of the town of Bristol. We asked for approval to use conservation reserve funds granted by the select board in that case.
Thoughts on that?
It was as good a use of that money as any.
Yeah.
And I
I know
don't
there
think
are
we're
rules
talking
about-
about hiring Sophie for many, many hours. We're talking several $100s.
Yeah,
From the
think-
budget that she gave us.
yeah, I think it was like an a la carte menu, right? So it had different tasks with associated budgets, and the total amount could have been in the few thousands, but you could review that and decide to select from among the
Right,
proposed tasks.
right.
Was there one other contact back, maybe it was our August meeting when we first got started on this topic, and I believe it was a Cornwall person that was connected with their in addition to Susan Smiley through New Haven to tie in with that person, because they were underway with some level of this process for their town.
Yeah, that was Mary Dodge. But I also think that we need to be a little cautious about spreading our activities across multiple towns. I mean, we are a conservation commission for the town of Bristol, and so I think it makes sense to reach out to other towns when we can be synergistic about our activities, and maybe that helps us save money. But I also think we can have kind of mission creep sometimes if we're too spread too thin. So I just want to put that out there as well.
Yeah, I think there's some good people out there that Lauren or that Sophie might want to contact to get ideas and sort of see what else is out there. But ultimately, like, we want to make sure the project is focused on Bristol. That makes good sense.
Particularly if the funding is coming from Bristol Conservation or the reserve fund. Sorry.
Let's send Lauren Sophie's proposal to us. That was an email attachment at some point. Oh yeah, October 3rd, she sent us this budget and ideas. And just in looking at it, 1A was compile and review existing data and results of wildlife corridor modeling and mapping, identify priority monitoring locations. Will take 2 to 5 hours. And
Nice.
it could be that that's the jumping off point
Yeah.
for the course in 24. Although, I mean, I kind of think that this is what Lauren was proposing to do.
Right.
Was
But
review-
that's what I'm saying. That's the 2 to 5 hour version. And then maybe that'll give Lauren ideas of people to interview, documents to go find, right? Follow up on some leads that maybe were discovered in a professional doing 5 hours of work. And then Lauren could pull, go to follow those leads from there, maybe.
Uh-huh.
Just to maybe that would maximize like the efficiency of her project.
Right.
Or we just say she's gonna just do what she does and, mid kids are gonna go for it. Either way is fine.
I don't know what you mean. Who
Like,
does?
we
what
could
she
just say,
does?
Lauren, you're doing great, go for it. Or we could suggest that Sophie come in and give her a jumping off place. I'm fine with either.
So maybe Lauren, you could spend the first week or so of spring semesters, took a couple weeks, trying to get your feet on the ground and figuring out what information is out there, what more information do you need? Would we be meeting right around then? Bring what you have to our next meeting, and then we decide whether or not we should hire Sophie to.
Yeah. She won't
February.
start until the 13th of February. And our meeting would be the 9th of February.
Okay. But even so, we'll meet in March.
Yeah. Kristen, what do you think?
Time-wise, if this board were to decide that we wanted to make a request to the select board for spending conservation reserve dollars, know that we'd have to get in the queue to be on their agenda. So that could take time as well before we could even authorize Sophie to do any tasks if we decide that's the route we want to go.
Interesting. Yeah, good point. Good point.
Well, so here's another thought, back to Sophie's written proposal to us. In that compile and review existing data, et cetera, that she estimates will take 2 to 5 hours. She charges $45 an hour. So we could count on 5 hours of $45 and submit that much.
Well, we have $300 of operating budget that we have to use by June 30th. We could start there if we wanted.
Though some of that money has to be reserved for certain
Well, that's true,
association
yeah.
fees and things of that.
Yeah, that's like
nature.
$50. We could ask her to do a few hours, just 2 or 3 hours, see what she finds, get us started, and then give it to Lauren, see what Lauren makes of it, and we can kind of have a plan from there as to what we want to do with the larger bulk of money going forward, right? If we really want to fully hire Sophie with the whole plan, sort of see where we feel from there. Like maybe that would be a good use of money. What do you think?
Do we know Sophie's availability?
I'm
She's
hoping
all
she has 3 hours.
booked up,
I'm hoping she has
or,
3
like-
hours to give us for $45 an hour. I don't know. Yeah, no, totally. Good idea.
If she's like months out,
Yeah,
then it might not be beneficial for
That's true.
Lauren. It might as well have Lauren start.
yeah.
I think it makes a lot of sense to use our operating budget for that. I mean, what we can spare of it. We end up at the end of the June trying to find ways to spend that money. So this is a great use for it. And then, if we can turn this over to Middlebury students and faculty to carry through the most of this without dipping into the bigger pot, that's great. So much the better,
Yeah.
And if she got 2 or 3 hours in and found something that needed more work or something, then we could always discuss getting more money.
Totally. Yeah. Okay, well, do we want to go ahead with that and say, would like to maybe explore, see if she's available and willing to do a few hours of research for us to help the student get started on the project? Is that,
Yeah.
are we on kind
Yeah.
of agreement on that?
I think it requires a vote to spend.
Oh, okay, great,
So a motion from somebody.
great. Would someone like to make a motion?
All motion,
What's your motion, Alex?
I motion that we talk about spending money on it, or we just go ahead and
Know
spend
that
it.
we contact.
I motion that we contact Sophie to see if she wants to spend a couple hours getting us started with some
Which
preliminary
would use money.
research direction, which would take up to $250. Yeah?
Yeah. If that's your motion, that's
That's my
great.
motion.
Thank you. That's a great. Thank you for your motion. All
And
those in.
Or we have to second the motion and then ask for discussion. Sorry.
Oh my God, I'm sorry. You have
I'll
a
second the
second?
motion.
I'll second.
Okay, is there any discussion on the motion?
Would we be authorizing her to proceed as long as she was available up to 250 and spend up to $250?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's the.
Yeah.
I think that makes sense.
$250 is more than 5 hours. And she had said it would take 2 to 5 hours to do step 1 of her
Yeah.
proposal. I think 250 might be.
But we're just authorizing $250, right? So we
Yeah,
don't have to
because
pay. up
that's
to it, right?
225.
You could authorize
It's
225.
45.
Okay.
Mhm.
That gives us wiggle room anyway.
Because how much do you need for Green Up Day?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Well, we didn't get to brainstorming Green Up Day yet, but now we'll just do it on $25.
Now I think if there's no more discussion, you can call for the vote.
Okay, great. Thank you, Kristen. So if there's no more discussion, we can call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? The motion carries. So we'll reach out to Sophie with that availability. Who will be doing that? Is that Kristen, or do you more contact with her?
I can do that if you like.
I think would be appreciated. Thank you. I think you are the one that had most of the email contact with her. That'd be great.
Yep.
Thank you. Great. And then that would be perfect. And then Lauren will maybe have some more information for you going forward about where we're going to go with this. That'd be fantastic. Great. Do you have any other questions or comments?
I don't think so.
Okay, just to make sure. Anyone else have anything else in terms of open discussion on wildlife map topic, or we feel talked out about that? Because we do have Meredith here still. She's right there being quiet. Oh no, I hit a button now. Oh, I've done it.
You turned the volume on.
Are we good? Do you want to talk about wildlife anymore, or are we tapped out? Okay, we're good. Thank you. All right, well, thank you for your time on that. And then we'll be moving on to our parks updates. Parks updates, Eagle Memorial, Sycamore, Saunders River Access. Any updates? Freddie, we've got Meredith, whatever it is.
Go ahead, Freddie.
Hear me?
Yes.
Hold on one sec. One of the my parks update is Eagle Park. I walked the park the last 2 weeks. With the storm that happened the last couple of weeks, we have seen a big number of increase of a lot of sticks and everything. A lot of broken trees are down. My plan is for the next week. For the next week, I'm actually going to hit all the parks to try to pick up all the sticks and then bring them to the dump or bring them wherever they need to go. Memorial Park recently, the last 2 weeks, I picked up a lot of garbage, personal garbage, in a bag full of garbage. Sycamore Park, I'm currently in talks with the sheriff department to try to get gaming cameras, but I'm thinking about doing talking about gaming cameras on all the parks if there is any way. I leave Bristol every night at 6 o'clock and it's about 6, 7 o'clock. And there's always people down in Sycamore Park when I hit River Road a lot, or if I go the other way. So it's kind of, I don't know. I don't feel like those people should be there about that time because nothing else really going on in the park. So I get kind of nervous about that as well.
Yeah, because when sunsets, we like
But dawn to dusk.
It's supposed to be
Are
closed
there-
after
okay.
dusk. Oh, okay, that was my question.
dawn to dusk it's open.
And that was my other thing was I was gonna see if there was any way we can talk about trying maybe get more signs out there and loitering signs or whatever during those times.
Can we ask the Bristol Police Department to increase some park surveillance and enforce? There is a loitering ordinance, I believe, on town properties. You know, for outside of those hours on the dusk.
I can speak with Bruce tomorrow morning or tomorrow when I come in. I can send an email or even go over there and give him a rundown. And then the town green right now, I actually had a local I had a couple of the local gentlemen actually were as you may see out there, we have a lot of sticks out in the park right now. So we're actually trying to pick those up as well. So that's my next week project to actually help clean up the park a little bit next week to 2 weeks.
Yeah,
Hey, Freddie, I have a suggestion. It might save a little time. In terms of the parks, what I do on my property here is I just pick up some of those down branches and where it's easy enough to put them into the brush, away from the mowed areas, basically because there's already fallen stuff in there. Then it's just kind of walking through and then putting stuff off to the side, kind of push back a little bit. Obviously, the town park, you wouldn't be able to do that. That stuff probably does have to get carted away, but maybe that's one way to manage that.
I appreciate that. I definitely take that. That definitely sound very smart.
Yeah, I second that. There's no reason to take down branches to the dump. There's plenty of semi-natural places you can just dump stuff. And you'll see when Jono and I were pruning apple trees, you may see piles of apple branches that are away from where people are walking.
One other thought is to contact the Boy Scouts. I know that when we had flood damage and wood debris at Eagle Park after the Halloween storm, the Boy Scouts came and helped to clear a lot of that debris. And they also use Eagle Park quite frequently for their training and their activities. So they may be kind of very willing to help out with cleaning at least that part.
Definitely reach out to them.
I think it's Bruce Mount that leads the pack.
Bill Mount.
Bill Mount, thank you. Yeah.
Is Sycamore Park clearly signed with the hours of operation? So we don't need to make more or new signs. It says dawn to dusk.
Yep.
Okay.
Just another update on Memorial Park. The memorial sign flew off the post, and I have it. And I'll tell you what, it's like 75 pounds of wood. And it was a struggle to put it in my truck, but I got there. Now I just have to get it back down to here. So I'm going to bring it here, and then I'll let Ron LaRose and that group take care of it because they were the ones who got it designed that way. And so as soon as spring comes around, we'll get that either if they replace it or what have you, we'll get something back up there.
Thanks. Good catch.
Yeah.
Great.
Freddie, also, I have here at my home a game camera that the Bristol Conservation Commission purchased somehow when we were monitoring the dumping sites.
Just threw money on the table.
I can make that available to you if it's something that would be helpful.
Oh, definitely, indeed. I would definitely take you up on that offer.
Okay, I'll drop it off in town.
All right.
I will say, and maybe other people may have some. Matt probably has more information about this, but when you put a game camera up, there sometimes are other people that love to grab a free game camera. So be sort of strategic and smart about how you put that up, and probably, I don't know, maybe look into it, research a little bit. Maybe Matt, you have some thoughts, but I've heard people say, hey, I put that up and somebody came in and it's gone, and I don't know what those cost, but it's obviously an inconvenience to have to deal with that.
If you put it up high aiming down, this is a widespread problem of people nabbing trail cameras. Put them up high on a tree and aim them down, and people just don't seem to notice them. Like everybody's looking around at, body height, but if you put it up over that, they'll usually miss it. It's also, if you were gonna, at some point want to purchase them, they have them now that'll send them to a cell phone, which make them, you send your pictures to a cell phone, which makes stealing them a lot less appetizing, because the picture of you nabbing the camera is already in somebody's cell phone. So.
Sounds like you gotta grab a ladder, Freddie.
I'll say that's all I had on parks update and everything like that.
Awesome. Thank you so much for all that help on that update. Does anyone else have updates about parks they want to throw in at all?
Certainly haven't been there recently.
Yeah. Okay, great. Yeah, probably not getting too much use for early stick season. Okay, great. And then let's talk about mowing, which was maybe something that might be at a park. So we're going to discuss this no mow May idea that I think Helen and Jonna were excited about. And possibilities are publicizing town parks with the rec department. Should we do it? Should we not do it? I had a conversation with Meredith about it, and she decided to come to talk about it with us.
Yeah, so there's a few things we just need to consider, and depending on what parks. Memorial Park, we could definitely do a no mow. It barely gets mowed, unless I do it with my little lawnmower, so that would work. Where I would be concerned is Sycamore Park, because there's a right-of-way through there, so in some sense we probably need to keep that mowed. But if there was an area at Sycamore Park where you would like to cordon it off and not mow it, I think that would be fine. If we do a no mow, just remember that Scenic View Landscapes is who our contractor is with. There's a good chance that they're gonna charge extra for that first mow in June, because for when they might have to mow twice. And then there's gonna be the taller grass to pick up. Now, if there was a volunteer crew, like yourselves, and went around and picked up all the grass clippings, then that might actually cut costs when Scenic Valley, we don't have to pay them to do that. I like the idea, the no mow May. It's just that there's a price tag on the end of that, I bet, with the extra mowing and the extra picking up the clippings.
I have a couple thoughts.
Sorry, go on, John.
So, Meredith, part of what I watched a couple Zooms on this and so on is, and my personal thoughts too, is if a lot of times what happens with mowing is, the guys that are doing it, they want to make their life easy, and they hit the perimeter, and then, but stuff is always growing into the perimeter. And so your area kind of can get smaller and smaller. So if they do an outside perimeter when it's easiest, before things really get going, that helps to keep that outer edge so it stays put and maybe actually pushes back a little bit, because stuff is always wanting to grow in. And then you also have your right-of-way strip, and that's kind of through the center. It gives people an opportunity to walk around pretty much the perimeter if they've got a dog or just for their own purposes. And yet there's that center strip, so it creates sort of a balance of some portions that are mowed, and yet there's also what is not mowed and beneficial for the pollinators and so on. Of course, there's the aspect, as you mentioned, when you get to the point of having to mow that, see how it goes. If they have a good strong blade and horsepower, it'll spray that the grass clippings pretty evenly. But my guess is they probably would send somebody just kind of walk in the area a little bit to make sure any downed branches and stuff that's not that visible doesn't get hit by the mower, and then have to deal with their blades and other factors. So that's the way, if I was doing the job, that's the way I would probably approach it. But I think we can hopefully try it out and see how it can work, and that perimeter mowing. just check in as we get to the point at the end of May to see the tall grass and scour the area for any down branches, and then also keep that center strip for the access clear as well. I think we can kind of find the happy medium.
The other thing I want to do is just follow up with Sharon. Sharon is the town clerk. She does the contracts with Scenic View. Just to see if they change their rates, because we're asking them to do just something different, the perimeter mow and the right of way, which would be nice if they, discount it, or if they don't discount it, we just need to consider that. But I mean, I'm up for giving it a shot for this spring and seeing if it works and seeing how it goes. But it's really what that landscape company does, what their response is.
So we talked about re-envisioning Sycamore Park. And we talked about using Otter Creek Park in Middlebury as a model of a park that has a mowed edge and nothing mowed in the middle. So it's wild. And it's got milkweed and all sorts of native and probably non-native plants. This is separate from No Mow May. This is talking about changing a vast expanse of mowed grass, which has no habitat value to any animal but humans, to a habitat that might actually promote some nesting birds or seed-eating birds or milkweed-eating caterpillars. So that would be my goal, is to change the way Sycamore Park is maintained so that there's more wild habitat.
Does anybody know what the original thought, because it used to be a trailer park and then it got flooded, I think in 98, 89?
98.
So I'd like to maybe research what that original plan of the Sycamore Park was about. There might be something in there where it says that we have to keep it mowed. I just haven't seen it, but that might be something we should take a look at.
Where would that be written? Where would we find that?
I'm gonna ask Sharon.
Well,
I think Sharon would be able to find it, or Chris. Chris
There's a-
Curley, actually. He's pretty well-rounded with the history of Bristol.
Kristen knows.
There's actually a management plan for Sycamore Park that discusses, when FEMA bought out or provided money to buy out the landowners in the trailer park after the 1998 flood. There was a deed restriction placed on the park, which basically prevented new development, but supported the idea of the town using it as recreation. And to my knowledge, there's no specific requirements in there for maintaining vegetation of any kind. So I don't know that any of those original agreements discussed how to maintain the vegetation of the park. I personally would have a concern that the Japanese knotweed is going to proliferate in those areas if we don't mow. Is Helen, in your view or your vision for this, do you anticipate like a yearly brush hogging of those areas?
Yeah, that's what they do at Otter Creek. Yeah,
Okay.
sometime in October, maybe come through with a brush hog just to keep honeysuckle and anything woody out of there. But then the rest of the year it's left alone.
That stuff grows pretty fast. So if they mow in October and it doesn't, how fast does that stuff grow by Otter Creek? I mean, I would think that would we be able to mow it in May, or not May, but June?
Well, there is
Or is that too
no
late?
knotweed at Otter Creek Park.
Oh,
So
okay.
that they do have that advantage. And you're right, it's encroaching, it's right on the edge. If we do this as an experiment for the next year, is it fatal if knotweed gets into that field and is mowed in October? I don't know. I doubt it. I
It
don't
does
know.
change the soil.
Pardon
I'd
me?
like to make a suggestion that we think about it as a step process, meaning let's see what we can accomplish with the no mow May. Meredith's going to check with the landscaper, and maybe they do it on a schedule. They might, every 10 days, who knows, or maybe they do it according to precipitation and what they perceive as growth. But the biggest concern is really public access. Those parks are there for public access. So I think we have to take that into account. But I can see the nature of climate change issues and other things coming into play with Helen's idea. So I just think that that's a little further out. We maybe have to kind of check the waters on a few of these ideas and how they can be worked out initially with the no mow May, and then sort of get some feedback about public access and proceed from there.
One
Yeah,
other
and just,
suggestion I have is that I could write this up in the update to the Sycamore Park Management Plan that goes before the select board for their consideration and approval, because we do jointly manage the park, and so that would give the select board an opportunity to weigh in on a stepped plan for no mow May and consideration maybe of a different vegetation management approach in the future.
It'd be interesting if I don't know how you would accomplish it, but to somehow take the temperature of folks that use Sycamore Park regularly with regards to this. Because my personal reaction is I love what you're saying, Helen. I go to Sycamore Park and see this parking lot effectively, from a habitat perspective, that kind of drives me crazy. But I'm not I'm not using Sycamore Park all the time. I'm not down there throwing a frisbee. And for the people that are, it might be a very important resource that they don't want to give over to milkweed.
and so in order for groups to use Sycamore, they call the rec department and they apply. It's free. We just want to know who's there. And there is a group that goes there every Friday in the summer. I want to say they show up with 2 vans, a bunch of kids, and they run around. That group's going to be affected. The fishing derby folks, that's not really going to be affected because they're along the water. Our own department uses Sycamore. We use the river area. We take a van down there once a week and hang out there. It's a maze to get down to where we want to hang out. So, just add tall grass to that. You're gonna have people trying to remember how they got to the river edge. So there's just things to consider. And then maybe, hopefully people don't throw their stuff into the tall grass because they're like, they don't care about Sycamore Park anymore, they're not mowing. So there's just a lot of things.
Are there portions of the park where we could do no mow and still allow mowed grass for those activities?
Yeah, I would say the further back is probably the better area to let the grass grow.
There's like a bit of a compromise in doing both.
Yeah, there's a lot of nooks and crannies in Sycamore Park that probably aren't all having a frisbee flung on them, regularly.
There's a nice field where I've driven down because we have equipment to drop off. But that space is really nice for frisbee, a little lunch. When you get further back, it's just literally further back, so it's a nice spot to let the grass grow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I worry about that knotweed encroaching, and we just lose it, because it's already, like you said, it's a maze. My kids call it the video game park, where it's like each time you turn, it's like a new loading screen, and then you gotta be like, okay, now it's a new catacomb to go through. I think when you're that tall too, it's like they're really going through it. And so if the whole park was like that, we would lose the access to the river, and I worry about that. So I personally like the no mow May, because it's fun and we get the idea of pollinator and a habitat, but then we go back to but we do have to have some recreation, and we also want to keep the knotweed out. If we had a way to keep the knotweed out, it'd be different,
Yeah, honestly, I'd rather spend money on a brush hog.
Yeah.
And take it down. I don't know if the town has a brush. I don't think they do, but it would be nice to cut it down early, and then maybe twice a summer.
Because Alex wanted us to go out there with machetes and get in there, and it was just so much work.
You can start to pull it. I'll tell you, there's big trash back there when you start pulling that knotweed.
Yeah,
There's
there is.
tractor
There's a lot,
tires.
that big tire.
Yeah,
Yes.
there's little tires, so. But yeah,
You
just
always do a trash cleanup really early in the spring. We could-
before Green Up Day, that would,
Yeah.
I mean, that does, I mean, Freddie's out there picking up stuff. Yes, I mean, there's a lot of things to consider. I definitely like the no mow May. I think we gotta just be careful of the long range of not mowing.
I'd agree with Meredith's comment and how it came up to use a brush hog, because if you can get to that knotweed early on and stay on it, a rough cycle of it, probably not letting it go more than, because that stuff does grow very fast, maybe not more than 2 weeks, because when it's young, it's kind of tender and you can get through it easy enough. Once it gets to about probably a foot height, maybe 2 feet in height, it's thicker and it really bogs down a machine. So that would be one approach. The other part is I don't want to profess to say that I really understand no mow May principles entirely, but we have two different comparables. One, Otterview Park, because I was on the Middlebury Area Land Trust, and I understand a little bit of the background there. But that's a wide open space, so it's getting plenty of sunlight, and I'm sure the grass and things are growing differently there than a more canopied area of Sycamore Park, and the different intentions, sort of going back to the plan that Kristen was mentioning and so on. But I also think that Nancy is really kind of spot on. Like, maybe there are ways to, in the very back where that need for access is, not blocking the access, but to the sides of the access and the furthest portions of that open area, maybe some of that can be left uncut per the contract, at some point, and test that out. So, I think we should just be open to it.
I just was listening to you talk and I was thinking ticks. Tall grass, lots of ticks. Just saying.
That's true.
I've had that thought the whole time,
Creepy crawlies.
cause, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, dogs run through there. I don't know, I mean, the ticks are just gonna they just get worse. But there is, things that you can, I don't personally like the idea, but there is like this spray that you can spray your yard or your park. I think it's like $400 to do so.
That seems worse for the environment.
Honestly,
Yeah.
as a cancer survivor, that's
Might as well just
not
mow it at that point and spread some seeds.
In terms of sort of something actionable here, maybe we have Meredith follow up some of those leads, see what would this cost, what would the feasibility be of doing a no mow May at Sycamore. Seeing, is it a discount because they're not mowing as much? Is it more because they have to mow more when they finally start, like June 1st? And maybe we can play with some of these ideas, see what the budget looks like, see if we could apply either stock trust money to that, since that's where we sort of started with this idea, or see sort of where we end up with that, and just have more information.
Yeah.
And we can sort of let these ideas percolate. Would that make sense to everyone?
The other
Yeah.
thing I wanna explore is, there's a couple farms right there. It would be sure nice if there was somebody with a brush hog right there that wouldn't mind driving over, brush hogging that space, but, I mean, the Weston's there, but they're a little too far. But that might be something cool to check in and see if we can do that.
Yeah.
Of course, there's the insurance part, but let's just, I'll work on seeing what the scenic view will think about that
Yeah.
and their schedule and go from there.
That'd be great. Just,
And you said February
information.
9th is the next meeting.
Yeah, 60-inch mower behind a tractor would be great. You could pull off a walk behind, which is probably somewhere around 30 inches, so half of that. But a tractor really makes, because it's just got the horsepower and the blade strength to whip through, because not all of it's just going to be knotweed. Some of it's going to be some small saplings, and you got to have the right kind of equipment to go through that stuff. But once you do it, it's just really, so much easier to maintain.
Yeah, the first time somebody does it, they should lower the bucket so they don't
Right.
see anything.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's what I was gonna say, is do we need to go through and clean up all the tires, but how do we see them?
Right, I mean,
Covered
honestly,
in
right
grass.
now, this is a perfect time.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Well, I think we'll move on that.
Great.
You'll look at that and we'll be in touch then, I think. Is that
Yeah,
so
that
good?
sounds good,
Okay.
so just count me in on the next meeting,
Great, thank you for your
or I
help.
might, give all the information to Freddie. And I apologize, we have Gateway Players upstairs right now, there might be some kind of loudness, so.
Yeah, we were noticing the stuff.
That was dancing, they're busy up there now.
Thank you, Meredith and Freddie. Appreciate it.
Okay, all right, are we good on that then, mowing? Great. Oh, you do
It's-
something else?
Well, not about Sycamore. Did we want to do other no-mo with like town people, not in the parks?
Like a.
Like
do
a
little
Promote it.
show.
town,
Yeah.
yeah, like a campaign, cause yeah, last year I saw a sign in someone's yard while I was driving promoting it. So I don't know if we want to get in on something like that to promote it to other people's homes, private
We could
spaces.
even as simple as sending out a couple front porch
Well,
forum
there's
posts.
always front
before,
porch forum posts. about
Right.
it.
Yeah, it's not a secret.
But it
So-
definitely,
Yeah.
like, it definitely, you know, coming from
Yes,
a
do s-
town
I don't know.
conservation commission,
Write up a little
sure.
thing on the
Do
benefits of.
something and, I don't know, find out.
You know, it wouldn't be too
Yard
difficult to
signs or
cross promote with, energy committee because Sally has been talking about electric mowers and no mow May already, I'm pretty sure. So I think that we could sort of tag team between Front Porch Forum and other means.
And maybe at Green Up Day, are we gonna have a town green gathering on Green Up Day?
Yeah, so that's under brainstorm, item G, but yeah, G for Green Up Day, but yeah, totally. Certainly it's May 6th. It's a good time. No one's bothered to mow between May 1st and 6th anyway, so sure it'd be an easy time to talk to people about that. Even put up flyers in tandem. If you're putting a flyer up anyway for Green Up Day, you can put a no mow one next to it, you know, so there's some of that cross promotion you could do pretty easy if we tied it with Green Up Day efforts.
And one year, I know the Energy Commission brought like, not Lamborghinis, but like fancy
Teslas.
electric vehicles there on the green. We could do electric mowers on the green as well and give people a chance to try them out before they might think about purchasing one themselves.
Yeah,
We'll bring ours down.
yeah, we went.
Yeah.
Show off.
Yeah, yes, that's a Green Up Day idea, but yeah, we can talk about that in a minute. Mowing.
Anyway, that's
Do we want to do that? Is that within our purview? Is that within our interests?
Sure
You
seems
want
like
to do
it.
that?
Totally.
Okay. Does someone want to be in charge of No Mow May efforts?
I can do it.
Okay.
Volunteers tribute.
Nancy,
Sounds good.
if I could suggest that maybe there's some way to create a little bit of a metric with the idea that, you know, people, I think, get excited because let's say someone's participating, and I know I will, that there's a way that people could contact you or somehow that we could gather information. So there's a number that people see, oh, you know, we have 38 households in the village, and then there's X number of other households outside of the village. It just helps people start to think, oh, I want to be part of that, and look at what's happening and the numbers growing. It's just, it makes it more, you know, of a way to sort of register what's actually happening.
I think
Yeah, I
having
like that.
lawn signs even, where you can put it out, especially in the village, where a lot of people worry about looking messy if they haven't mowed.
Right.
And then they're like, oh no, I'm doing no mow May, but they could just put a sign out, and then they'd be promoting it. And, like,
Yeah, I saw some lawn signs through, I don't know, Bee City USA is a thing, I don't know.
So if they're anything like the political signs that have that little metal, it's like an H. So
Yeah,
the top of the H goes into some sort of a placard, and then you have the crossbar at the bottom of that, and then the bottom of the H, two prongs go into some portion of the front of the yard, then maybe we could help sponsor that, or maybe you're suggesting there's a source so we could get some of that.
Yeah. Okay,
Great.
thank you.
Thank you.
Cool, okay, well, good luck with that. Keep us posted. Thank you. Mowing is done, yes, okay. Increasing park accessibility update. So I'm not sure who else received this message from Porter Knight. I don't know if anyone else on the commission. Looks like Meredith got it. But basically, she has been talking for a while about getting accessibility in the town parks and making those more accessible for folks. And so she has a vision that Bristol can be an inclusive recreation destination for families. She didn't want to come in and talk about it because she thought there wasn't that much to say, but just wanted me to let you know that, just so we're all aware that she's working on this, and that because people might ask us about it, but that's something that she's really passionate about. That she's working on this right now. She's trying to think about making it a recreation destination for families, a place where you can enjoy numerous outdoor settings with members of your family regardless of mobility. She'd like to see access at the town green. There's already a playground and sidewalk. Eagle Park, where the platform exists, but you can't get to it with a walker or a wheelchair right now. You need to improve parking, create an accessible walking path, then a picnic area to accommodate a wheelchair. A Memorial Park, improve parking, create access to the lower picnic area with picnic tables to accommodate a wheelchair. Coffin Factory, improve parking, create accessible path down to the water with a bench for room for a wheelchair next to it. Sycamore Park, improve parking, create an accessible path to take advantage of the full site, a picnic area to accommodate a wheelchair. She has a document that she has started where she's trying to make comments on all these things. There's also the possibility of making the business park loop an accessible trail as well that she's working on. If the high school is able to get a grant, which they're working on, they may hopefully be able to make that surface where they have the high school cross-country trails, they may be able to make those wheelchair accessible in the future as well, which could provide about a mile of surface. These are just other accessible recreation sites, not on town property, but bundled things she might put into a grant if the opportunity arises. She's working with a lot of different people to try to think about how we can make things accessible. Accessibility on trails is in the top 24 ARPA funding ideas, also being considered by the ARPA committee. There is no specific proposal for that item. I was not one of the people who submitted this idea, ha ha ha. And then she has a document where she's putting together ideas about making parks accessible so she can think about future grant opportunities and sort of get the legwork done before she starts applying for things. And she wanted us to know that she's doing it, but didn't really have a lot more to add than just me reading that email. So I told her I'd read the email.
Great.
So just so we're all aware that that's happening. And she may come talk to us about that at some point, or there may be grants in the future that she's gotten, or she may want input. I don't know, but that's what her thought is right now.
Go for it.
Yeah, go for it.
Good.
Any thoughts about that? Okay, cool. And I can forward you that document. I forgot to, I didn't think about it. BCC webpage, it is updated, and the final report has been submitted. So hopefully it has everyone's updated information about your term and which spaces are vacant. And then we submitted the final report with input from Zaylee and Kristen, and then we were able to also get that up on the website as well. So you can also see that on the website now. There was a few frantic emails we realized we'd all forgotten that was a thing. And we're Zaylee emailed like, oh no! But we made it happen. We got some good comments from Kristen and made it happen. So.
But 2 days after the holidays, I was like, wasn't there something I was supposed to be doing besides Christmas?
It sounds like not many anyone got it in, and we were still one of the first ones. So. And the last thing is Green Up Day is May 6th, 2023 this year. I thought we could brainstorm about that a little bit. What we'd like to see, what we've done in the past before COVID, how we feel about doing things in a post or living with an endemic COVID world. And I want to know your thoughts on that.
We were never here before COVID.
Well,
Well, not
I mean,
like,
you were like-
since you were born, and all that, but like in recent green update times.
In the
What was it?
Right.
in the green
Right.
update, right before COVID, we did things were pretty similar leading up to it. And we had bags with Sharon at the office, and you could go in and you could ask her for however many bags you wanted, and then you would sign up and say where you were gonna go and how many bags you took, which was really nice because then we could have a sense of like a map of like where people had been, which we've lost that data now. We don't have that the last few years. So then people pick up bags and fill it out. We still do the drop-offs at the schools and those things. And there'd be the occasional scout or interest group of some kind that would say, hey, we want a bunch of bags for this one project. And that was great. And then the year right before, and on Green Up Day, normally what we start doing is putting up sandwich boards and putting up like, you're here, you made it, it is Green Up Day today. We put those like kind of all at the intersection with green bags tied to them so people would see. And we had a table set up by the rock and the cannon over there. Where I would sit there and kind of check people in. We had big maps of towns set up, and then we'd say like, okay, what streets do you want to go to? And people always want to do the village, but the school does the village and everyone does the village. So I'm always like, go out. And then people would come back and say, hey, there's a lot of cans by that one stop sign where I live east of the farm. Always, so I'd send people down there, or the pull off by Mary's, which is now not even Mary's anymore because it's been so long since we had Green Up Day in person. And they go over there. And so we do those sorts of things. People would come in and report back. And then the last one, the like, what's it, 2019, we had the first annual Green Up Day Expo, which became the only Green Up Day Expo to date. But we had a lot of fun with it. And I organized it with Ian Elbison, who at that time was the director of Bristol Core. And we sort of turned it into, I think the Energy Commission threw it into, maybe Sally Burrell too helped with it. Oh, and Richard Butts helped too. That's right. God, it was so long ago. So we all worked on it, and we ended up having Almost Home had a food truck. Almost Home is where Jonas the Boy is now. This is how long ago we are. These things are all changing. So Almost Home had a food truck out there. We had people brought Teslas, so you could like see a Tesla, because 3 years ago Teslas were even more rare. So you could see one and think about having an energy efficient car. We had all sorts of different booths. Bristol, we had a booth. There were booths for some high school groups, some things from around the county, and what else? Gail was handing out milkweed to people for their gardens, for monarchs. And it was just lovely. It wasn't as big as the Harvest Festival, but it was like a nice group of people that came out and did stuff. We talked to the high school environmental club, and they had some kind of a table there. There were some high school students there. So it was really nice. It was a lovely event. And we got a lot of people involved. It was fun. It was a lot of planning, but it was fun. And we were hoping that we would have that momentum so make it easier for future years. So I don't know. I also wasn't working then, so I had time. So I don't know how much that we want to do or who wants to do that, but it was really fun. And we could certainly think about continuing something like that if we wanted. But that's what we did the last time, was the expo. But before that, we always just sat at the table and had coffee and talked to people, and it was like a nice little thing. But the expo was like the extra, but we did that last year.
I think the expo would be nice. I mean, it could be small. It doesn't have to be for the first year, and then grow back into it, hopefully.
Yeah.
There won't be another pandemic in 2 years.
Yeah. It could just be other people sitting at tables near me with like a no-mo sign. It doesn't have to be like,
Yes.
we'll have to have, was that Vermont Summit, the Bounce House come, but it could be some other people.
Because I bet the high school environmental club still exists. And
Right.
They just play
That-
their
but
own table.
Yeah, but
right?
that teacher retired. I don't even know who runs the environmental club now, right? It's like all these threads, they're all
Yes.
lost, you know?
Yeah. Well, someone knows.
Someone knows, yeah.
And then you said you worked with the energy.
Worked with the energy on it. They did most of the energy in Bristol Core, because I was like, I'm doing the green up part, but like I want you guys to do the Green Up Day Expo part. So most, I think, was Energy Commission and Bristol Core that did it.
So we
could
could
talk
just
to them.
contact them and see if they're interested in.
Yeah.
Is the energy person the same, or is there?
Yeah, is Sally Burrell the head of that still?
people on it that were there?
Yeah, I'll look it right now, real quick. If the internet loads for
Cause that would
me.
be fun.
There's a new
Energy-
person that's leading the Bristol core, right? It's not Ian anymore.
It's not Ian anymore because now he's select board. Yeah. Okay. So Sally Barella's the chair. Richard Butts is the secretary. Okay. So those two are still running it. And then I don't recognize the other names on
Wait,
there.
and this is the energy
Energy committee.
committee.
Mhm. Yeah. So it's those two still that are like running. But I don't
They
recognize
already
any other
know.
people anymore.
So
But they did it. Yeah.
Yeah,
In
so they
2019.
would-
Yeah.
you could just say, hey.
Do you want to do that again? Yeah.
I like the
whoever's-
idea of the Bristol core being involved as well. That's the synergy of the three groups is very strong.
Yeah. Gosh, I don't know how to contact Bristol Core anymore, but I can try.
Bristol Core, I think just posted on Front Porch Forum,
They're looking for.
so there's probably an email.
Yeah, well, they've had some turnover with directors and stuff, so I don't know. But we could, I could send an email out with my Green Up Day stuff and say, hey, is anyone interested? Should we do this again?
Mhm.
Right. Would anyone in this group be interested in like sort of being our liaison for the expo side if I'm doing the green up part? Because I still have to do all the bags and right. So it's like there's a lot I'm already doing for that day. If anyone's interested in doing an expo part, that would be great.
I'd be happy to help.
Okay. Because you got till June, so.
Got till June.
got nothing to do.
Rent a house, and I'm not that.
And I can assist.
Okay.
Okay, great.
Mostly I just hate to sit by myself at that table for 4 hours. It's so boring. It's so often we do the Eagle Park cleanup the same morning. Like historically, we've always done like Green Up Day is the Eagle Park cleanup day, which is nice because then people are in Eagle Park, they can get a green up bag. But then it means I'm just alone.
We'll
So
just bring Harvey and Zabby and Archer.
Perfect.
Have- Place a grandparent at the playground.
exactly. But yeah, we could also Bristol Core Energy Commission. Anyone else that might be an ally in there? I don't know who the teachers. Anyone of the high school teachers? I don't know anyone at the
No,
high school
a
anymore.
single
They've all retired.
Well,
I
the
don't
lady
have
you were
I have no
talking
contacts
to
anymore.
at the
Who was I talking to?
library, Melanie.
Oh,
Did
she's
she
in
take-
Middlebury, not Abe.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Okay. So
Yeah,
I
Melanie
have to
Lloyd.
think that there's
person.
somebody that's taken over the environmental club up at the high school. It's just got to be something. It's just
I'm sure it's not hard
Yeah.
to just call and
Yeah,
ask.
yeah. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, you can just call a high school, can't you?
Right?
Never occurred to me that high schools have numbers.
Yeah, because I went to their environmental studies club or something, whatever it was called, like so early in the morning, high school, man. And so I went there. I mean, I forgot how early in the morning before anything, and then talked about like, do you want to do this expo thing? And then they had a little table there.
Okay, so who is everybody contacting? Who's contacting who?
I could talk to the Energy Commission,
Okay,
and
there's an email that just went on Front Porch Forum for the director of Bristol Core.
okay, so they may be in a bit of
About-
disarray still.
No, it looks like someone who might be the director.
Oh,
Posted on Front
fantastic!
Porch Forum twice today
Oh my gosh, that's great.
about Pocock being back and bringing back the Bristol Farmers Market. So it looks like
Okay,
this
so
person
maybe
is
they're in
wanting-
it. Oh,
So
that's
I'm happy
great
to read that
news.
person.
Yeah.
Awesome, go for that'd be great. Okay.
Farmers market coming
I
back.
That'd be
know,
fun,
that would
yeah.
be nice.
Yeah.
We'll see if we could even do like a farmer's market day though,
That
that,
would be the.
right? Like if you
slickest
could be
thing.
like special
Yeah.
farmer day or
Yeah.
something. I don't know.
Or like a kick off the farmers market for the summer because it's May.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Organic
Here's what we're
something.
gonna have at the farmers market all
Yeah.
season.
Even if you could do Q&A to be like, what does organic mean? Like no one knows what that means, right? Like that could be just something interesting.
So this may
Um,
be an old website, but there's a Mount Abe Environmental Action Group. And the contact person is Izzy Moody. No year on this website, so I don't.
I mean, I can call. Do you want me to call the high school?
Okay, Nancy's gonna do that.
Okay.
Cool.
And see if it is Izzy Moody.
Yeah. Because yeah, when I did it with Caroline Patry, who's now retired. Okay, other groups that might be interested in being part of this. I think someone came from Addison County Solid Waste District, but they just came for like a booth kind of thing, because it's just like free. And we just went and took tables out of Holly Hall and carried them over to Big Brother and stuff. It was really laid back. But that would be nice if Bristol Court or the town, or maybe the rec department would help, so we could just grab tables and things, because we don't have that infrastructure.
Yeah.
You know?
But if it's the transfer station, they might be willing to offer a couple of composting bins to raffle off, or having a.
Oh, that's right. It's all coming back now. 2019 was right before the composting law took effect, or maybe it was right after or something. So they did a composting workshop in Holly Hall that morning early. And then it was like, then it rolled out like, now come to the expo. That was the idea. I don't know how many people went to either event, but we did have it that morning. They did a composting in Holly Hall that day.
Something like that.
Yeah.
So maybe they'd like to have a booth or a table.
They've had tables at the Harvest Festival.
Yeah.
And they seem to have somebody who goes around and does that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, maybe we should ask the rec department if we can even reserve the town green or that side of it that day, how that would work. And then we can see if they're interested in helping with some of just like, can we borrow chairs and tables and things?
Yeah.
That would be a good step too. I can do that.
Okay. All right, and then we'll see where we're at next month.
Yeah, that sounds good.
See if we've gotten interested parties.
Yeah, and then I think people who are interested in doing a booth, like that's easy enough.
Yeah.
It's more of like the big organizers or people that want to.
Yeah, and then we can even advertise on Front Porch Forum, like, do you have some sort of environmental related thing that you would like to have a booth? Please contact us and see what we get.
Okay, cool. That sounds great. So we'll just see how it goes. And then in the meantime, I just have to order bags and like start some of that process up.
A non-expo Green Up Day question. Are there, when you were talking about people coming to report back, are there, I mean, there are, we know, major areas where trash accumulates?
Yep.
Are there ways like we could ask people like a Boy Scout group or a high school club or something and kind of assign ways so that way it gets cleaned, the spots that we really, really want cleaned?
Yeah. So I usually have Bill Mount from the Boy Scouts will offer where can they go, or he'll just tell me they're going to like Eagle Park or something. Okay. I keep trying to get the hub to send people to Sycamore. The problem, the hub, I already talked to Freddie, he's gone now, but we talked about this we had like an hour-long meeting at some point this month and about how rec and parks and rec can work together. And he said that he's the same thing Alex said, is how do you get the kids down there and back again, right? Transportation is really tough. So although it'd be great to get the hub down there, it'd be a big group. You could have, Freddie and his team out. It just, something he cares about. He said he would brainstorm about it and think about it. And seeing how he could possibly get transportation for those students down there. Because I'm running into a lot of problems with that already for other events too, for the hub students.
If it was, so the actor bus, I think I'm trying to remember their route, but that could be a possibility, but they don't operate on the weekend though.
Sure.
No, they go Hewitt and then back to the blinking light and then to New Haven. But they do go out of their way by like half a mile if you request it or something like that. So they might be willing to do that. But if they don't go on the weekend, then that doesn't really work out. Unless the hub gets it early.
Speaking of, if it doesn't match up with Green Up Days specifically, but is, either before, leading up to, or shortly thereafter, that might work well for an actor arrangement. But actually with all the recent rain, I've been walking the road down here on Hewitt Road, as you mentioned it, Zaylee, and it's so easy to go ahead. I just bring the 5-gallon buckets, and between all the trash and I'll probably have to do it again by the time, the end of April rolls around, but already I'm seeing stuff that's out there. But I always wish it could be earlier because stuff starts to really grow up in May, and you have to start thinking a little bit about ticks and all that stuff. So, but it is what it is, and it's been working for I don't know how many decades already.
52, 53 years, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and remember for the one COVID year, they bumped it all the way to the end of May, and then it was really hard to see trash that year.
Yes.
Because of shutdown. So anyhow, thinking about if you have a group, I've been thinking it'd be great if we got church groups out doing this. I've never had a church group talk to me. I know there's a lot of people that are civically minded and want to help. I've never gotten a group from a church going, but I have had, we've had the library has had some things. We've had, Red Cedar School, the Mount Abe Junior High, the Environmental Club for the high school, and then all of BES does the village. They have a map where it's like certain grades go on certain roads, and they do it every year the same way. So that's nice that they do that. And there was a river group once, an anglers association, and they went down right by the river and they pulled a ton of stuff out. Oh my gosh, it was so many bags. I forgot how many bags it did. It was like off the charts. And then they came back and wanted more bags, which is awesome. They did a great job. It was gross, I guess, but it's good it got out. So it was there either way.
That's the New Haven anglers.
Yeah. So that was great that they did that one year really hardcore. So yeah, and we do usually about I handle about 450 bags. And then, it's been several tons of trash pre-COVID. Now with COVID, I still hand out the same number of bags, but we're getting only about a ton of garbage back. Does that mean the environment's clean? I doubt it. But I think we're not having as many of these work parties where people are maybe they take the bags, maybe they don't really fill them, maybe they're less filled, as opposed to the energy of everyone going out there. There's an app now. It's a whole new decade of green up. Maybe we can get involved and I don't know.
See how we can make the groups inspire the groups to pick up the most trash or something.
Yeah,
which would inspire more groups maybe to come out.
Yeah. And I sort of like the idea of catch and release. People come, they get their bag, they go out, they leave the bags inside the road, but then they come back and they can talk to us about what they saw. They can explore the expo. That kind of thing would be really nice, a really nice vibe. It's hard to get people to come back, though. Most green up days for most towns, you leave the bag, you put the bag in your car and you bring it to a central spot, so they can have a hot dog cookout at the firehouse. It's we don't do that because we have this great benefit of the town road crew picks up the bags, which is amazing. So that we can actually get more nastier garbage out because we don't have to take it anywhere. We get more tires that way and stuff. But it means then the community fun aspect is harder to pull together because we're not forcing people to drive their dirty bags in. Yeah. I prefer it how it is, but it would be nice.
Don't change that.
It would be, sometimes people got pictures of the pile of trash and stuff. But it's harder with the nasty tires and metal pieces and stuff. So it's better we leave it where it is for safety. But yeah, if you have brainstorming ideas, love to hear more of those. So we'll think about this again next month. We have a lot of time still. It's only January, but I want to put it in our January meeting. So we're thinking about it.
Sounds great.
Great. Okay. Any other thoughts on that? Nope. Okay, great. Other events, I guess Green Up Day is coming up as an event. We didn't really list it. Before we say what our next meeting is, does anyone have anything they want to say for the agenda next month particularly, or just updates? Because we didn't mention the agenda once. Usually someone says something on the agenda. No one mentioned anything just now in the last an hour and a half. So I was just wondering if anyone had an agenda item. If you do, please email those to me so I can put this on the agenda.
Is there any chance Meredith will have information about mowing?
Yeah, I'm hopeful that she will. I'll make a note to follow up with her.
Well, either way, no Amelia will be on there for an update, right?
Yeah, I'll leave it there for an update, yeah. But usually someone says next meeting, but no one did just now, and I was uh-oh, I got nothing.
Well, I feel like the whole list of what we just talked about needs to be updated next
month. Yeah, no, that's what we generally do, but I just want to make sure if there was a plan someone had. Okay, that should be good then. Okay, great. So then, events, next meeting is February 9th. 2023, we're planning on doing Holly Hall in person and then a Zoom option. And other than that, we just have adjournment. And I would like to make a motion,
Motion to adjourn?
make a motion to adjourn. Does anyone like to second that?
I'll second it.
So he seconds it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the motion is adjourned. The motion is adjourned. The meeting is adjourned. The motion passed. Okay, great. Thank you very much for all coming. And we'll see you next time.
Wonderful, thank you.
See you guys.
Bye.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, you too. Bye.
All right, I got to pee.